Welcome everybody. Tony Porter, Cards and Dice TV, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what I'm doing in terms of our tabletop baseball hobby. Got a few different things happening right now. One of the things I'm most excited about, although I keep on hearing that I don't seem excited about it when I'm playing it, is the classic Status Pro Seaver replay that I'm using. And I was able to pick up a Status Pro game at a fair price, not a price. I wasn't overpriced at all. I felt it was a fair price. There's some sets going out there at a very high price, and I keep on looking for. And the thing about this set, it's in above average condition, except somebody grabbed one or two cards from a handful of teams and whited out their names and replaced them with like an unusual name, like a Ken Griffey Jr., 1983. He was just a kid, so he wouldn't be playing. So they did that, so I had to kind of, scan it and rewrite the name of the original player, figure out who the original player was. So I'm it's a little bit of detective work involved there and a little bit of, a remodeling, if you will. And so that Seaver replay is in game 10. I think I'm about to play San Diego. Seaver's about to pitch against San Diego for the second time. Remember, 83 is the beginning of that team. Hernandez shows up. Strawberry's already playing. Mookie Wilson's there. I think that Ron Darling shows up at some point as well. So there's a bunch of that core team that goes from, 83 all the way to basically 90. So they all start showing up, and the team starts taking shape into a major contender for a bunch of years. So that's exciting, and this is the fourth time I've done that Seaver replay, so I'm familiar with the teams he plays, and I'm just testing the sim and just having fun replaying the baseball game, right? Nothing special, but it is special because I'm excited about it. And Status Pro is a game that, it's fairly well designed. The base running is fairly intuitive. In other words, the faster guys will take the extra base. The outfielder's arm plays a role in limiting that advance. That's factored in there. Now, there's some things that it doesn't have, but, that's the name of the game. But yeah, I'm doing the Status Pro 1983 Seaver replay. You should definitely check that out using Status Pro Fast Action Card System. I'm also doing a 1961 vintage APPA set replay of the 61 Yankees. I figured if there's any team that could hold my attention, it would be the 61 Yankees. I'm not an expert at that in that season. But I have a lot of experience playing APPA, and you definitely, if you watch, you will pick up little anecdotes that I add. And you're talking about somebody who's basically played APPA on and off for, 40 years. I didn't just open the box last week for the first time. So I just want to mention that. So you should definitely watch that. They're exciting games. You learn about the APPA system. There's a lot of commentary that goes on in terms of, what's going on with the pitching system in APPA, which is the basic pitching system in APPA, which is very, very basic. It's D pitchers. There could be a team, with 10 pitchers and 7 of them are Ds. And that's basically the league average. But then where you go a little bit higher than the league average, it would be, the W guy or the guy without a Z. That would probably kick him up a few points as well. So I got that 61 APPA going. That's exciting. See how Maris does. Maris has 3 home runs. Mantle has 5 right now. So we'll see how close they get. What else do I have going? I have a couple of Fall Classic baseball. There's, it's an excellent game. If you like Strat, if you like APPA, you're going to like Fall Classic. Just give it a chance. When you open the box, there's a lot of charts, but if you use the fast action cards, you really don't use charts at all. The fast action cards use, and I have lots of videos on the specific components of that game, like the batter card, the pitcher card, the fast action card, the quick outs chart, which is super duper easy to use. Once an 8 is a fly out to center, an 18 is a fly out to center. A 6 is a ground ball to short, a 16 is a ground ball to short, a 4 is a grounded to second, a 14 is a grounded to second. So it's very kind of intuitive, and if you know the basic scorekeeping system, so I have two different replays. One is a 1959 Braves replay that I picked up just from somebody that was on one of the Delphi forums, and he was struggling with it, and it seemed like he was frustrated with it, and he couldn't get them to win. And I said, it's just the luck of the of the dice, and I'll prove it to you. And I started playing it, and I got into the team, and I'm learning about the team. A couple of Milwaukee fans like Kurt Berglund they're giving me like tips and hints and insights into those Milwaukee teams, because he's from Milwaukee. So anyway, and then the other replay I'm doing with Fall Classic is the 1976 replay, because that's the first season I ever started rolling dice. I started rolling in the summer of '77 with the '76 Yankees, because I was living in New York, and that's one of the teams that was doing well, so I chose them to roll that first season. And I used APPA to do it. So APPA has a special place in my heart. So you'll always see APPA stuff on my table, and that's one of the main reason why. It's because it brings back those fond memories. So I've got now I have a Deep Drive. Deep Drive is an interesting game as well. It plays very, very easy, very, very quick, very easy to learn. Has some very cool and rather insightful approaches to something like pitcher endurance. Rather than counting the batters, you go by how many times has the pitcher gone around through the lineup. How many times has he gone through the lineup? Usually the most is 3. Some guys can go 4 times through the lineup, but mostly it's once you hit 3, you got to start looking at exactly specifically what his point number. It's a point system, and it seems a little bit awkward at first, because we're not used to that. We're used to basic batters faced that everybody uses, although Status Pro does a little bit something different. It also uses a point system, but once you understand what he's doing, it makes perfect sense. And that's basically what they do today in baseball. They use 1 time around the lineup, twice around the lineup, 3 times around the lineup. They want to avoid that. And that's kind of like what the system is based on, and it works out great. I've done a couple of Seaver replays. I've done a lot of stuff on Deep Drive Baseball, probably one of the few that has. So if you're gonna, if you want to learn more and see, but I did it on version 2. They got a new version 3, which even made the game more fluid, okay, more elegant right now, because now you don't have to throw that extra die. And I think he's simplified the base running, and he's also simplified the pass balls and wild pitches and balks, so you don't have to roll an extra die to see if that special event occurs, which was something that was a little plotting. It would slow down the game, and that was I was fine with it, because once you get used to it, you're okay. So I got the Deep Drive replay. I do have my IP league going, and every so often you may see a video of that. It depends. I also have a project with Kurt Berglund on the 1986 IP Inside Pitch, where I'm going to play the Mets when he plays the Mets, and we'll go head to head. And outside of that, I've got a 67 and a 70 APPA, but I kind of I shelved that a little bit because I'm doing the 61 and I can't do so many APPA replays. So I think that's about all the replays that I have going right now. And I just wanted to let you guys know that lots of stuff is on my table, and tune in, enjoy it, give me the occasional thumbs up, the occasional shout out comment. I appreciate those, and anything you guys need, and of course the tutorials. I got tons of tutorials on different things that come up all the time. I have the unboxings that are going on. I have a unboxing of a very, very vintage APPA game that I have not gotten to yet, and I have to get to that. And sometimes I just leave boxes on the side, and I unbox them like 2 or 3 years later. And that's how I work. And this is from the laboratory, the Mad Professor's laboratory. As you can see, it's a little bit chaotic, but that's there's order in my chaos. And that's about it. So this is Tony Porter, Cards and Dice TV. Remember to join the Universal Baseball Association Facebook group. I think it's the most informative, baseball group without going outside of the lines of our hobby. You can still stay within our hobby, and you can also make it entertaining and have valuable information. You know, like there's a Baseball Digest subscription that's really super cheap. I don't know what's going on with that. It must not have many pages, but it's like $24 for a whole year. I guess I don't know if they're doing one every 2 months or one every month, but that seems really cheap. You can get 2 years for like, I think $40, something like that. So that's interesting to see, and that's on there. I found that and I shared that. And every so often you'll see these classic baseball games shared as well, because when I roll dice, I listen to some of those classic games and to visualize, you know, what the rhythm was of the time, who the players were, how do you pronounce their names, what the lineups were, and just the general flow of the game. It's a little bit different than modern games. So though you'll see some of those things that are not directly tabletop dice roll related, but they're not directly, but they're indirectly, right? They're still part of it, but maybe on a peripheral basis. So you'll still see those things on there, whereas you're not going to see that in a lot of other forums, because you know they're very, very narrow in scope, very myopic. It's got to be about this one game, otherwise don't talk about it, and it has to be related to the game itself. It can't be related to baseball and how it relates to the game. It has to be about the game almost, and that makes kind of a little bit of a rough exchange at times, where guys, you know, did it innocently and now they're being chastised and for it, and demonized and vilified, or whatever you want to say about it. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, and tune in. Take care, guys.